Hi guys, this is Chet here from Avion Technology here in the Chicagoland area. We are a digital agencies for other digital agencies. We help small digital agencies scale up. So what does a digital agency do? It does websites, it does apps, it does digital marketing, so SEO, SMM. So a lot of our clients are actually small digital agency owners who kind of use us for as white label services, and we actually help them scale up. So again, like I said, the whole question or what we're discussing today is a small digital agency, right? So what's a small digital agency, by the way? It's a small digital agency for me at least. By the way, before we go on, just a quick disclaimer: none of what I'm saying constitutes legal or financial advice. So if you need any legal advice, please speak to your lawyer. If you have any financial advice, need any financial advice, please speak with your CPA or financial consultant. So what's a small digital agency? In my opinion, it's an agency which does less than $500,000 annually, right? I have seen that most of them have like a very similar setup. It's started by one person, one guy, one gal, who usually started off as a designer or a developer or a marketing consultant. They did what they did pretty well. So they usually roped in another person, and then these two became the founding partners. One of them was in charge of delivery, the other person is in charge of sales. And doing this, they do about $10,000-$15,000 worth of business every month. But things come to a point where that one person who is managing all the deliveries, who's managing all the projects, has their bandwidth full. So at that point, they usually go and hire a few other resources. Usually it's a few people on 1099 or a few people on W2, maybe a WordPress developer, or maybe a Google or a designer, or a SEO specialist. So then they have like this core team of like 5 people, 6 people, and maybe one of the founding partners' spouse is working in HR and finance, so she's doing all the housekeeping. And this gets them to about $30,000-$40,000 in terms of revenue. More often than not, at that number, I have seen that it's almost like this chasm, it's almost like this valley that they need to jump over to get to the $1 million mark. And some agencies can do it, many can't. And so what defines the agencies that can make that jump, and what defines those agencies that can do it? Leave aside all the behavior and the personality traits of the founders and all of that. If we had to define this in terms of just the sheer brass tacks, I would say it's this dance between chaos and structure. So at a very high level, life is constantly a dance between chaos and structure, right? So you have like a good 5-10 years, stability, everything is nice, and then something chaotic happens, right? And maybe it's a relationship which doesn't work out, and then you go into a chaos spiral for like a couple of years, and then you stabilize yourself, and then you have like another couple of good years, then something else happens, and then you again kind of go in a downward spiral for a year or 2 years, then again you kind of stabilize yourself. So that's usually how our personal lives work out. Now, I have seen that it's the same for a lot of small businesses. They will have a couple of good years, and then they'll lose like a big client, and then they'll need 2, 3, 4 years sometimes to kind of stabilize and then come back. And a lot of times with completely new set of employees or something, completely new line of business or something like that. And then they will kind of again start that journey to the top, and then they're like on an upward trajectory. Then again, like there'll be a major recession, and they'll have to lose 50% of their workforce or 30% of their workforce, and then so this churn is also happening in our professional lives and the lives of businesses. So what separates the people who get out of these kind of transitions, and what separates businesses that get out of these kind of disruptions, right? And in my opinion, it's structure. Businesses or individuals who are anchored in structure find it much easier to get out of these chaotic situations and begin their upward climb than individuals or businesses who are inherently chaotic and who do not have any structure. And those are the ones that I've usually seen, they just kind of flame out and die, right? So that's the dance between chaos and structure. So if you're running a small agency, if you're running any small services business for that matter, this is something that I would like for you to keep in your mind, is that you don't want to be, so there's a spectrum, right, with chaos at one end and structure at the other. You don't want to be completely towards structure, because that'll kill any spontaneity, right? That'll kill any, innovation. But you don't also want to be teetering towards chaos, right? You want to kind of be somewhere, not even in the center, maybe leaning a little more towards structure, right? Because, like I said, structure is the guardrails that help you to take risk, right? When we say entrepreneurs take risk, there's two kinds of risks, right? There's the smart risk and there's the foolish risk. And a smart risk is a risk which is a calculated risk. And how do you take calculated risks? You take calculated risks based on the guardrails that you have, right? It's like doing skydiving with an instructor, right? If you're doing skydiving for the first time, usually you want to do it with an instructor, right? So the more structure your agency has, the better it will be. How do you build that structure? Number one is processes, right? Important. Develop processes for all the different departments, right? Number two, define the roles. And don't just define roles for today, define roles for the next 3 years. In a subsequent lecture, a subsequent video, I'll actually talk to you about why the 3-year interval is important. Basically because 5 years is too long and 1 year is too short. That's why it's 3 years. But define roles, define processes for the next 3 years. But most importantly, this is what I have seen works really well. If you look at any complex operation, like an operation theater, for example, where multiple individuals need to do something extremely accurately to get really good outcomes, or in the aviation industry, for example, in an aircraft, when during aircraft maintenance, whenever multiple people need to do their job really accurately in order to have good outcomes, you will see that they use checklists, right? Checklists are a lifesaver, right? Checklists is what enables even doctors sitting in 2 different continents to perform a procedure successfully, right? There's this amazing book I would highly recommend that you read it. It's called The Checklist Manifesto by Dr. Atul Gawande. Please read it, especially if you're an agency owner. Just using checklists will help you bridge that chasm, will help you bridge that valley and get to $1 million of turnover. Have a daily checklist, a weekly checklist, and a monthly checklist, even if it has like 5 items in each. Most importantly, it will help you stay sane when the shit is hitting the fan. When there's chaos all around you and you're sitting with a bunch of checklists, that gives structure when everything else is in turmoil. So if you're a small business owner, or if you're a digital agency, if you own a digital agency, please keep this in mind, that your life is always going to be this tango between chaos and structure. But the more structure you have, the better your chance of conquering chaos. How would you conquer the chaos? By using processes, by defining roles, and most importantly, using checklists to tame the beast of chaos. Here at Avion, we've helped a lot of agencies scale. If you have an agency, if if you like our content, please hit subscribe. And if you, these are my coordinates, if you want to give me a shout. I love to chat with owners. I love to talk. I love to understand what your pain points are and see how I can help. So give me a shout. I would love to connect with you. Thank you so much.